Is recording? Okay. All right, Tom. So, the first question is, how visibly apparent do you believe segregation was in Walker County during your lifetime?
I think looking back at it, it's more apparent now than it was then. If you think about it, it was the norm then throughout much of the country, certainly in the South. It's just what it was. Black families would go to black schools and go to black churches, and white families go to white schools and white churches. It was like two worlds almost within the same area. I didn't know a lot of black people by name, but by face. Huntsville was small enough in the 50s and 60s that you might not know someone's name, but you might recognize them to speak to them. And then my dad being in business, he had a lot of black customers as well as white customers. And he once said to me when I was a young man that while the white customers are very important too, that he probably couldn't have kept his doors open had he not had a good trade from black people. So, my dad would have never thought of segregation at all. Denying a person the right to come in to shop with him, that would have not only been rude and disrespectful, it would have been stupid from a business model. If 50% of the people in the county were black and you tell them that you can't shop with them, your store, then you're busting yourself out of 50% of the potential business in the county. So Dad would have never allowed that. And so I think there was two separate worlds in a way. When I graduated Huntsville High School in 1966, we had one black student in the class of 116, I think it was, in the senior class, and one black student. And Pam came there when she was like a sophomore or junior in high school. She wasn't with us all the way from elementary school. I never knew if she moved to Huntsville with her family from somewhere else or whether she had gone to the black schools right here in Huntsville and just transferred over for her senior year. I never knew. So we had Huntsville High School, we had Sam Houston High School, and Sam Houston was for the black students, Huntsville High School for the white students. Hispanic students typically went to the white high school. And we had a fairly large Hispanic community in Huntsville because of nothing else, Batcher Sawmill, which was one of the larger East Texas sawmills at the time, and it was a big economic job area in this part of the state. And a lot of the people that worked there, that lived at the mill and the mill housing and shopped at the mill store, were Hispanic, and they all came to the white high school. So we knew there was segregation. I don't think we thought about it a lot, and I don't remember a lot of it in restaurants. Other than looking back, I don't remember seeing when we would eat out. We didn't eat out in those days like we do now. But I don't remember going to restaurants and thinking, oh, there's no black people in here. Don't remember, it wasn't an issue. I wasn't expecting to see black people in there. But I wasn't aware of any of the restaurants telling people you couldn't eat here. I do remember segregated water fountains and public restrooms. And I look back at it now like a dream world. Like, could that have ever been in mid-20th century America? That doesn't seem possible. So I know there's still a long way to go in race relations and whatnot in our country, and I suspect it's one of those things that you never completely finish it. You have to educate each new generation as they come along to do the right thing and to be respectful of other people. It doesn't just happen automatically, and I think so in that regards we'll have to continue on with the attempt. But we have certainly made, in my opinion, a lot of progress in these last 50 or 60 years.
Absolutely, great.
And embrace it necessarily. You accept it more. As you get older, you don't even want to accept it. When you start looking up and your doctor that took care of you all your life is retired or died, and you got to change doctors, and then your preacher, your minister, who was your counselor at your church all those years, retires or dies, and you got to have a new preacher and a new dentist and new neighbors, and everything's new, constantly new. The technology's new, everything. You get kind of ticked off about it, and you think, is this really necessary? Some of this change. So people had a lot of change thrust on them in a relatively short period of time in the 60s, and I always felt in Huntsville that we were very fortunate, I really believe this, to have white leaders in the community, men and women, and black leaders in the community, men and women, and Hispanic men and women leaders in the community who got along with each other, at least to the point where they respected each other, and none of them seemed to want violence, or the change was hard enough being rapid. They didn't want physical violent change, demonstrations that turned bitter, where there were beatings or fires set, looting. They didn't want that. They were willing to go whatever it took to do it as peacefully as possible. And we were lucky in Huntsville, I think, to have that mindset among all the leaders that I know in the community at the period felt that way. Black, white, Hispanic, whoever they were. So.
Coming to think about that, I'm not from